The anterior part will form the urogenital sinus, that is the dilated part, and posteriorly it will form the anal canal. Now see this structure, these all structures in this figure. This is the hindgut that inferiorly ends in the cloaca. Here is the mesonephric duct, mesonephric tissue that will give rise to the kidneys, and this one is the ureteric bulb that will further forms the part of the collecting system of the urinary system. All these end up in the cloaca. Now this cloaca by this septum, urorectal septum, divides into an anterior part. This anterior part will form the urogenital sinus, and so that is about the urogenital sinus. The urogenital sinus is the dilated anterior part of the cloaca after it's divided by the urorectal septum. Now this urogenital sinus is now divides are having three parts, the three portions. The upper and the largest part will forms the urinary bladder. Its second part, that is a narrower canal known as pelvic part of the urogenital sinus, and there is a third part, the last part known as phallic part of the urogenital sinus. Now see in this figure, by the urorectal septum, the cloaca divides into an anterior dilated part known as urogenital sinus. This is the whole urogenital sinus, and posteriorly it will form the anal canal. We are concerned here with the urogenital sinus. Now this urogenital sinus divided into three parts. This is the upper dilated part known as vesical part of the urogenital sinus. Then the second part is known as, that is somewhat narrower, constricted part known as pelvic part of the urogenital sinus. And the third part is known as phallic part of the urogenital sinus. From this vesical part, the dilated part will give rise to the urinary bladder. So the urinary bladder develops from upper part, or you can say vesical part of the urogenital sinus. From the second part, that is known as the pelvic part of the urogenital sinus, it will give rise the two parts of the urethra in the males, the membranous part and the prostatic parts of the male urethra, and whole of the female urethra develops from this pelvic part of the urogenital sinus. So this part known as the pelvic part of the urogenital sinus will give rise to the urethra. In the females, whole of the urethra develops from this pelvic part, but in males, two parts arises from this pelvic part, the membranous part and prostatic part of the urethra. And the last part, that is the spongy part of the male urethra, develops from the phallic part, or the last part of the urogenital sinus. The phallic and the last part of the urogenital sinus in female participate in the formation of the female reproductive tract. In the development of urinary bladder and urethra, the most important structure is urogenital sinus, that is an anterior part of the cloaca. This urogenital sinus is further subdivided into three parts. The upper part known as vesical part, its middle part known as pelvic part, and this is the last part known as the phallic part of the urogenital sinus. Urinary bladder develops from this vesical part of the urogenital sinus. Urethra in the females develops from pelvic part of the urogenital sinus. In the males, prostatic and membranous part of the urethra develops from pelvic part, but the spongy urethra develops from the phallic part of the urogenital sinus. So that is the related derivatives of the urogenital sinus. Now with the further development of the urinary bladder, initially the urinary bladder is continuous with the allantois. Allantois is a sac-like structure. Here is the allantois, that is a sac-like structure that is anterior and superior continuation of the urogenital sinus. So initially when there is an formation of the urinary bladder through the allantois, it is connected to the abdominal wall. After some time, the lumen of the allantois start to obliterate and it forms a thick fibrous cord known as urachus. So after some time with the development of urinary bladder, this allantois will converted into a fibrous cord, and this fibrous cord is known as urachus. This urachus remains there and connects the apex of the urinary bladder with the umbilicus. And in the adult life, now the remnant is known as medial umbilical ligament. Initially, there is an allantois converted into a fibrous cord known as urachus, but in adult life, the remnant of the urachus becomes the medial umbilical ligament through which the urinary bladder is connected to the umbilicus. With the further development, the caudal portions of the mesonephric ducts are absorbed into the wall of the urinary bladder. There are different, when we will discuss the gross anatomy of the urinary bladder, there is a part of the urinary bladder known as trigone, where there is an opening at its upper two ends, there is an opening of the ureters. That is actually the openings of the mesonephric ducts, because mesonephric duct participates through the ureteric, but it helps in the formation of the ureters. So these ureters, when they enters into the urinary bladder, that is actually the caudal portion of the mesonephric duct, and they are absorbed into the wall of the urinary bladder where the ureters enters. Another structure, the orifices of the mesonephric ducts. The openings of the mesonephric ducts, they move closer to each other and enters into the prostatic part of the male urethra and becomes the ejaculatory duct. Now see in this figure, on the posterior aspect, there is an opening of the mesonephric ducts. These are the yellow colored structures showing the ureteric bud that will forms the ureter. So there is an openings of the ureters. Along with that, the openings of the mesonephric ducts, they will opens into the prostatic part of the urethra and will forms the ejaculatory ducts. The mucosa of the urinary bladder, by the incorporation of these mesonephric ducts, because these are mesodermal in origin. So the trigone of the urinary bladder is initially mesodermal in origin, but after some time, this mesodermal lining is replaced by the endodermal epithelium. And after that, whole of the urinary bladder is completely lined by the endodermal epithelium. So these are the few points related to the trigone of the urinary bladder and its mucosa. Urinary bladder itself, derived from upper dilated part, are the vesical part of the urogenital sinus. Another structure that opens into the posterior aspect of the urinary bladder at this level is known as the mesonephric ducts and the ureteric bud. Ureteric bud will forms the ureters on each side of the trigone. These are the two openings of these ureter, and inferiorly here is an opening of the urethra. That's why this structure is known as trigone, because there are three openings, two openings at the upper end, and inferiorly there is one opening. Second thing, the openings of the mesonephric ducts. The mesonephric ducts opens into the prostatic urethra in the males and it will forms the ejaculatory ducts. Related to the mucosa are epithelium of the urinary bladder, only the trigone part, because it is formed because of the incorporation of the mesonephric ducts. So that's why initially it is mesodermal in origin, but after some time it will change into the endodermal epithelium. And in the adult life, it is whole covered by the endodermal epithelium. The development of the urethra in the females, the urethra develops from the second part of the urogenital sinus, known as the pelvic part of the urogenital sinus, and in males, two parts develops here from the pelvic part, membranous and prostatic parts, and the last part, the spongy urethra, develops from the phallic part of the urogenital sinus. That is the development. Then the epithelium of the urethra in both sexes originates from the endoderm. It is endodermal in origin, but surrounding connective tissue and the smooth muscles, they derived from the mesoderm, the splenic layer of the mesoderm. At the end of the third month, the epithelium of the prostatic urethra, it begins to proliferate and forms the outgrowth. These outgrowth are buds, well forms the prostate gland. And in females, from the cranial part of the urethra, again, the buds arises, our outgrowth arises, and they will form the urethral and paraurethral glands or vulvourethral glands in females. So these are the small outgrowth arising from the urethra. In males, it will forms the prostatic gland, and in females, that will forms the urethral and paraurethral glands. Now, some of the clinical correlates related to the development of the, specifically to the development of the urinary bladder. When normally the allantois obliterated, replaced by the urachus, and then urachus is converted into a ligament known as medial umbilical ligament, that is a normal process. But in some cases, when the lumen of the allantois persists, it's not degenerated, not obliterated, it persists, then there is a communication exists, and this communication known as urachal fistula. The urachal fistula is defined as it is a type of communication because of the persistence of the allantois. So there is a communication between the urinary bladder to the umbilicus. So in these cases, there is a dribbling of the urine from the umbilicus because there is a connection between the urinary bladder and the umbilicus. The second condition is known as urachal cyst. The urachal cyst is only a local area of the allantois persis. See in this figure shows the urachal cyst. Its proximal end is obliterated, its distal end is obliterated and converted into the medial umbilical ligament, but only its middle part persists. It's not obliterated and will lead to a formation of a cyst known as urachal cyst. The third condition related to it is known as urachal sinus. When the lumen is only persists in the upper part of the allantois, this condition is known as urachal sinus. Urachal sinus is the dilated upper part of the allantois that persist in some cases, and that will lead to the formation of the urachal sinus. So these are the three conditions related to the allantois, that is a type of communication. If it's whole the communication persists, it's known as urachal fistula. If it's only small portions persist, forms a cyst known as urachal cyst. And if it's upper part persist and will form a sinus or dilated part, it is known as urachal sinus. So these are the few important points related to the development of urinary bladder and urethra. So now all of the development of the urinary system is completed. Development of the kidney, development of the ureter, development of the urinary bladder, and development of the urethra. Now, any question related to the development of urogenital sinus? G, any question? No questions. Ria,
Yes, ma'am.
any
Yes,
question
ma'am.
related?
No, ma'am.
No question.
No, ma'am.
Okay, I will ask the question then.
Okay, ma'am.
The urinary bladder develops from which structure?
Yes, ma'am.
The urinary bladder develops from
Ma'am,
Ji Shiza.
The superior part of urogenital sinuses or vesicular
Urogenital
bladder.
sinus. Ji. From where the urethra in females develops?
Phallic inferior urogenital
Ma'am, pelvic
Pelvic
phallic
part of
urogenital sinus.
the pelvic part of the urogenital sinus. And in males, the urethra develops from
From both
Prostate.
part as well as this other part, which is known as spongy urethra. It develops from the inferior part of urogenital sinus.
ठीक है, एटलीस्ट आप लोगों को ये आना चाहिए कि यूरिनरी ब्लैडर कहाँ से डेवलप हो रहा है, यूरेथ्रा इन बोथ सेक्सेस डेवलप्स फ्रॉम व्हिच स्ट्रक्चर, ठीक है, एंड व्हाट इज द सब डिवीजन या व्हिच पार्ट ऑफ द यूरोजेनाइटल साइनस. और किडनी की डेवलपमेंट और यूरेटर की डेवलपमेंट ऑलरेडी हम डिस्कस कर चुके हैं.